You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek Nerd Tech.
Yes, it's EPMD. Your customer means that we're back. Welcome to Geek Nerd Tech, the show we break down nerd culture, tech news from a black and brown perspective. I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined, as always, by my man, Achilles Shine. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I love opening up to the classics, man.
Classics. This is the song that they played at my prom.
Man.
I'm kidding. Actually, that's not that far off. But no, I'm not.
That's about right, because
I'm not that
EPMD,
old.
I was like 8 or 9.
No, this joint is like from 1987, though.
Well, I was 7.
Okay, all right. Anyway, welcome to the show. We're back, show number 16. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us on iTunes and YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, good to see you. A lot of news we're going to get to, a lot of tech stuff, a lot of nerd stuff, a lot of geek stuff. But let's open up with something that we've been talking about for a long time, which is Amazon. We're always talking about Amazon and Jeff Bezos taking over the world. I was in Denver this week with a good friend of mine who is had a long conversation about Amazon. He's about to do some work for them. He's a programmer, and he was just mapping out to me like the far-reaching tentacles and why, he's like the kind of work that he does. It's very rare. He's a very rare sort of programmer. Shout out to you, Drew V. But he's a very rare, programmer, and they're looking for 300 of him. He's like, I don't know if they can find him. Like, he's like, but I don't know, that increases my work, but there's work for me forever if I want to go work for them.
That's crazy.
So anyway, he's contemplating that for a lot of different reasons, But what's happening right now is Amazon Prime, which we all know is a service that allows you to do a lot of different things, namely, you subscribe to Amazon Prime. I think it was $79 initially.
Yeah.
And so they, it allows you to get free shipping with everything they do. It allows you to
Have access to Kindle.
Access to all the Kindle, all the Kindle, all the
books.
copies there.
Right.
But it also, more importantly, now they're getting into the content game we talked about. So it allows you to do their play to sort of be the next Netflix.
Exactly. Stream all the videos and whatnot.
But the price is raising.
Yeah, price is raising. I mean, I think you kind of hit it on the head in terms of Bezos, Amazon, their expansion tactics. Like, they want to grow and develop, and they feel, they haven't raised the price in 9 years. So they feel like, this would be a great time in terms of that expansion. Like, you got to think like third quarter, fourth quarter, they're going to kill. Yeah. Like a lot of people do their shopping online these days. Like last year for Black Market, record-breaking, numbers. So I think he's smart.
Black Friday.
Yeah, that's what I meant, Black Friday. I said Black Market. Yeah. I think he would be, he's smart to, start this now. Sure. And, get his core group, acclimated to it now. So,
right.
Yeah. Do you use Amazon Prime?
I do. I recently, here's the thing. I had Amazon Prime, but I just realized this weekend is that I don't use it for the content stuff, and I need to because all those shows. I use a lot of Netflix and I use a lot of DVD, Blu-ray. I'm old school, but I do use a lot of Netflix. I use a lot of Xbox as well, and Apple TV, which is all that stuff. But Amazon Prime is really great. Like, they have a lot of shows like Justified, and shows that, like, a lot of content they have that you can just stream entire seasons of. Right. And then they're also getting into the original programming business as well, which is interesting to me. So they got this thing what they do with their pilots where they'll just fund 11 pilots and then have the people vote on them, theoretically, is what they say they do, but that only works. And then they'll put up 4. Last week they did 2. I think one's called Alpha House, and one's called Betas, and they were okay. And this year they had 4 they're going to put up, 2 comedies, 2 dramas. So we'll see how they go. But it's like big names, like Chris Carter from the X-Files, like Joe Calloway has one. It's like big names. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see how they do, in the game. Do you use it?
No, I never use Amazon Prime. I'm not one to do shopping online, so I never really had.
I thought you would be like that. That's your wheelhouse.
No, I like going in and touching stuff, man.
Oh man.
So and most of the things I buy are like gadgets, and I want to manipulate them before I purchase them. So haven't really Haven't really done anything with
What
that.
about the things that you know, like, because there's certain things you know what it is, like a lens, like there's a special specific lens you want, like you know all the specs,
Nah,
like
I
this
like-
is the
I
lens
like
I
the-
want, let me push the button and send it to my house.
I like the person-to-person interaction. I like to talk to the salesperson.
Right.
I like him to tell me, I like to try to get a deal from him. You know what I'm saying?
see.
I like the natural humanistic approach.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, some stuff like I would buy that, but not electronics, not gadgets, never.
You can just put like you activate the voice speak on your computer and on the website, and you hit the button, and it'll say, "This is the," I don't know.
Right.
But
I actually want to say something on this topic.
Yes, sir.
Because I actually want to get you guys' opinion, because recently Amazon has been accused of raising the prices on certain Prime items to make up for the shipping costs that they have to send them out with.
Right.
So what do you think of that when they're just on the backlash of this accusation, and now they're raising their prices $20 to $25 for a Prime account?
Well, here's the thing about that. Stephen Lemieux, that's our wonderful producer and engineer, Stephen Lemieux. The thing about that is, like, Amazon's always run the business model for Amazon is to run a really, really low margin. So as much money as they're making, as far-reaching as their tentacles are, their margins are really low. That's how they're able to get to make this thing work. So it's always been in the business plan of Amazon at some point to be able to raise the prices, to raise the margins, so they can actually make more profits. It sounds ridiculous, but they make a lot of money on low margins. So I was kind of knew this was coming, so I don't have much of a problem with it. Also, not that surprised with they're trying to figure out other ways to make up that low profit margin. It's really all it is. It was inevitable, Lemieux, but I think it was just a matter of how they handle it from a PR standpoint.
Right.
And it's just more of a PR thing. I think that we're willing to pay for something good, but if we think we're getting ripped off or we think that Amazon's manipulating us, then it's a problem. It's more of a-
No, what I'm saying is they've been accused recently of having lower prices on an item. Like, let's say you wanted to buy a washer on Amazon.
Yeah.
And if you're a non-Prime user, you're going to pay $60
Oh,
shipping,
I'm sorry,
but it's
I
only
misunderstood.
$400 plus $60 shipping. But if you're Prime user, shipping's
Right.
free, but they charge you $500 for the washer.
Right. Yeah. Keely,
I mean,
that's horrible.
I mean, I think that's a huge point, and I think that that really detracts from their brand. Like, it gives opportunity for their rivals to like get more market share, like Overstock.com or like ShopRunner. That gives them opportunity to kind of reach the audience that Amazon's going to lose. But I think this move is clearly for the shareholders. It's clearly for their pockets. It's not for the 20 million people that have 20 million membership that they have for Amazon Prime. They're trying to get and squeeze as much money out of that membership as possible, and knowing that the future of shopping is moving towards online.
I think if that's happening, and it sounds like it is, that's deplorable. I think that's bad. But I also think that it's, this is the thing that they want to push and move everyone over to Amazon Prime as much as they can. I think I don't know. I think what you're saying is Amazon Prime may be a sham, because if you're using Amazon Prime and getting quote unquote free shipping, you're paying for it anyway, right? So I don't know, man. I got really nothing. I got no really opinion on that. If that's happening, like on a lot of items, or even if it's just select items, it's no good. Maybe they're doing it on items like washing machines and items that are like larger and more expensive to ship, and maybe that's how they're making up their costs. I don't know. I think the question would be for me, Lemieux, is this something that's happening across the board with all products, or with select products, and or does it matter?
It's select products, but it's also causing a huge stir, especially when they're trying to raise the price of Amazon Prime at the moment. So that's mostly where the PR blast is coming from.
Interesting.
People against the price raise when they can't even promote
Right.
what they say that Prime is. I use Prime all the time, though. I love Prime because I get the smaller items and I just have so many things to ship to my house.
Right. It makes sense. So I guess the key here is if you're a Prime user and you're shipping yourself books and products and smaller products, and it's fine, and you can enjoy all the other fruits, the content and all this stuff. If you are shipping large stuff, washing machines, cars, refrigerators, then maybe Prime is not exactly a deal for you. You're not really making out in the free shipping.
I mean, do you think that for the guy that's not buying that many things online, do you think the $100 a year is worth it?
Well, this is the thing. It's not. Well, this is the PR problem they're having, right? Because what they're trying to do is say that we're a big tent. So, like, you like Netflix? Man, we got you on Netflix. You like to ship stuff? Man, free shipping. You want this stuff? You like books? iBooks, nah, we got that too. Like they're trying to promote this as a one-stop shop. That's kind of the move, but they're not really doing a good job of messaging that because people think of Amazon as books. Now they think of Amazon as products, but not content, not just all these other things. So I think their problem is they really got to do a better job of educating everyone that like Amazon Prime is worth it because you're getting all of these services. It's not just about shipping stuff for free. I think that if people think like, oh well, I'm paying an extra $20 just to ship stuff for free, they're ripping me off. I think it's more than that. I'm pro this move. I just want them to be ethical about it, But I think the move is good. I don't mind it at all, and I don't know. I'm
They just gotta afford those drones somehow.
Exactly, they gotta fund those drones, baby.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence. I think if it's a fight between Amazon Prime and the membership, I think Amazon Prime walks away with the black eye. Right. I think they lose.
Really? Okay.
I think in the long run they're going to lose.
Well, consumers will be the final. They'll tell the story. We'll see how this next year shakes out. We'll see. Consumers. We got another favorite story of ours that we like to talk about, which is back, is your boy Watson, Akili.
Watson,
your boy,
yeah, that's my man.
Your man Watson. So Watson is, we talked about, what the further applications for Watson may be aside from winning Jeopardy. Looks like Watson has got some serious work ahead for him. Looks like he's now they're talking about using him to. I'm going to talk about this person, Mr. Watson. They're talking about using him to do some very serious, like cancer DNA sequencing to really sort of get down and do deep dives and to figure out, the real answers of where cancer comes from, how it starts, and then build a roadmap into maybe stopping, eradicating, or treating cancer.
Yeah, I mean Watson, like you said, has a lot of work to do, but Watson's a genius. Like what a human mind can do versus Watson is no comparison. Like this story for. He essentially this supercomputer will begin to do the work that for one doctor to do in 1 year he could do in 1 second, times 100. So, like the capability for them to collect information and data as it relates to cancer will propel them to come up with solutions.
Right.
You know what I mean, and so like using the technology to help gather that data is going to save time. It's going to save money. And it's gonna propel a different industry as it relates to Watson. Like it's gonna move it to different industries like finance or anything to like help collect information at a much quicker, rapid rate. So,
right. Cool. Yeah. I agree. I think it's cool. I think that I'm terrified of this as always. I'm gonna make sure that we're able to, as human beings, to keep a handle on what we're able to use this technology for. I mean, I think of Watson. I think of have you seen Her? Mm-hmm. So I think of Samantha and Her. And there's moments in that movie where, for those who haven't seen Her, it's about a guy who falls in love with an operating system set in a not too distant future. There's moments in that film where he'll reference something and she'll say, "Yeah, let me check that out. Yes, I read the entire works.
Right.
Like, how long did that take you? 2.3 seconds.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, like that is kind of where it's at. She's in real time able to access all these things, talk to multiple people, access all this information. That's not too far. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, Watson, like most computers, run off a program.
Right.
Watson's able to collect information and then make decisions off that information.
Right.
And that's what's very unique about him. And I think technology is always about figuring out how to do things easier, how to save time. Mm-hmm. And like this is the solution for like a whole industry. Like because really like in terms of finding a cure for disease, it's really just time.
Right.
And the evolution of science kept catching up. And so this computer is gonna help do that. Right. It's gonna help, propel that cure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So I have more power to it. I want Watson to do it, as long as he doesn't figure out a way to become self-aware and make us all into slaves of the Arnold Schwarzenegger and the T-1000.
Man.
Anyway, or the Matrix or whatever else is happening. All right, let's move on to the NSA. Another story we've been talking about for a long time here that just keeps evolving. But before we do that, we want to talk about our good friend. We have a word from our good friend Maria Menounos.
I don't have it ready, so go ahead.
Oh, never mind. We will have a word from a good friend Maria Menounos very shortly. But right now, we'll talk about the NSA. So, look, this has been a big topic for the last probably year and a half, 18 months, and we've discussed it here. We've discussed, the spy and the tech gate or whatever you want to call it, and eavesdrop gate, and Obama's listening to all of our phone calls and what's happening. But This is a story about the actual technology that they're using, and more and more is becoming available to the public about some of the methods, the specificity of the methods that the NSA uses. And the more we know, the scarier it gets. On one hand, for me as a techie, it's very, very interesting to see like, oh my God, wow, they had that. I know they could do all that. On the other hand, it's scary. It's like, whoa, they can do that. And one of the things that we're talking about here is they're able to listen to every phone call for a month, and then sort of record them like a DVR. It doesn't work like a real DVR in terms of like a linear thing, but if you can just get a snapshot of every phone call made in the country for a month and then pick back any particular conversation and play that back, that is some insane technology.
It's crazy. I mean, the key thing is that they can do this for an entire country, millions of people.
Yeah.
So they're using this technology called Mystic, where it actually records the audio,
Right.
and then Mystic shoots it to another software called Retro,
Right.
which is where they retrieve the information and they're able to analyze it. But I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but I definitely think it's scary. Like to think that, I mean, I would say that this is happening here. Like I would say the FBI, someone is using this technology, like. For sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, we know, Mystic and Retro. These are programs that I don't own, that we don't have, that aren't exactly don't come on your OS that you get on your computer. But yeah, I'm really fascinated by the data collection and sort of data sorting that happens there. I mean, just from a tech standpoint, these two pieces of software are amazing. Like one can collect everything, and then the other can sort and store everything.
Right.
So when you want certain bits of a conversation, like they can just string together, like Watson, very quickly string together what this conversation is, who it came from,
When it came.
So it's more than putting in keywords like "I want to bomb something." It
reminds me of the movie Eagle Eye. Like this technology that's able, but it's using video in that movie. But I mean, it's very similar to that. It's able
Wait, is that the Shia LaBeouf one?
Yeah, it is.
I hate that movie. That movie is terrible.
I mean, it's terrible, but
No, but yeah, it is like that.
yeah. I think what's crazy too is like and within that 30-day period, like it's 12 petabytes of information.
Wow.
That's 1 million gigs of information. 12 million gigs of information in a month that they're collecting. Like, and so just how to store all that, like. I think that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy. I'm very, I don't know, man. We'll see. It's interesting because, like I said, there's more and more information that's coming out, but the information that we're getting that's coming to light now is probably a year. So whatever is going on with Mystic and Retro, that's
old news,
that's
right?
2-year-old technology.
Exactly.
Retro 3 is kicking right now. Like that's stuff we don't even know about. It's NSA. Like we don't know. So I don't know.
It just makes me think like, man, like your privacy, like because simple conversation you're having with your mom or your girl or whatever, like, and someone's tapping into that, like, or that's being recorded and put in a database, like.
Right.
So you have to be very careful of what you say and like just being cognizant of how you use your technology, because you might be in that country where they're using this technology and might talk to the wrong person, and you're in this system now. Like I think that's just ridiculous.
I'm also really fascinated by I was listening to someone talk about this over the weekend, the relationship between pop culture and how we get our information from pop culture, and how or science fiction or spy fiction, and how true that starts to become, or how they'll read something that's about, like a screenwriter may like, oh, I hear this technology is emerging, and then you cut to 10 years later, it's how we're living.
Yeah.
Perfect example of that is, you mentioned Eagle Eye, but I'll go back to Enemy of the State, the Will Smith Gene Hackman movie, where this was like happening. Like this was the first time you got that sense of like a data tech room of these young guys tracking, using cameras, activating everything, tracking people down. That's real, And now
real.
Movies like The Bourne Identity do it all the time, and I love all those scenes. By the way, I've mentioned that before. I'm on record saying I love all the crisis suite scenes in every movie. But Eagle Eye, and shows like Person of Interest right now. It's that same idea. This stuff is kind of real, and it makes you really, to watch people. Even this last movie, this Jack Ryan movie, they did a whole scene like that at the end, where he's uses all these methods to track someone down. That's incredible. So it makes you really, really wonder, again, if pop culture is writing about in the future and sometimes using it in the present, and we're talking about it right now in the present, A, what's really going on right now, and B, what's to come.
I mean, totally. I think if a person can imagine it, someone's going to try it, and someone has tried it, and someone is doing it. Like
Right.
Like you said, most of the things that we see in science fiction, like either come from a place or are propelling something to happen. So, yeah, like this technology for sure is here, and yeah, you gotta watch what you say. Gotta watch what you do.
Retro's watching. The Mystic Retro. But speaking of watching, yeah, we have something that we've been watching, and we're going to go to some words from our friend Maria Menounos.
Tuesdays on Oxygen.
I'm Maria Menounos, and my life can get a little crazy. I host Extra. I'm an actor, producer, dancer, wrestler, and a lot of other things. I live with Kevin, my boyfriend of 15 years. Do you really love me?
I would say that I'm in serious like.
And my parents. Yep, I just said I live with my parents.
You drive me crazy.
You drive me crazy. My parents want us to get married.
You both love each other. Get married.
Kevin and I don't. I am going to get married when I want to get married. I think I want kids. Kevin definitely doesn't want them now.
This is being pushed on to us.
And of course, my parents wanted them yesterday.
This year, you gotta have it.
And I have a house full of people counting on me financially. If I take my eye off the ball, everything can fall apart.
It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or wants us to do. It's what we want to do.
Everyone thinks that they know what's best for me, but I'm really the only one. I have got to figure things out.
Chasing Maria Menounos is so new. Every Tuesday at 10/9 Central, starting March 18, only on Oxygen.
Yes, good show. I'm watching. I like it. I'm seeing a lot of our friends here are in it, especially. And so it's good stuff. Where are we? Oh, Twitter. Let's get back to Twitter. So another thing we've been talking about. These are all sort of. I feel like these are stories that we'll be continuing to talk about.
They're revolving.
They're revolving. Well, Twitter there's been in the news lately because the head of news at Twitter. I know they had a head of news at Twitter, but the head of news at Twitter had made a sort of a flip remark about how the company may be getting away from hashtags and the ats, saying they're a little antiquated, and then people picked it up and were kind of running with it. But I think at the heart of it is just sort of saying that there's two sides to this. The first side is that as a culture, we now know hashtag is embedded in our culture. There's bits on it. People talk about it. My people will talk. My kids will say it like hashtag leave me alone. Hashtag this. And the ads, all those stuff are embedded in our culture at the same time. For Twitter to move forward into the future, we may have a world where people aren't hashtagging, and there may be a better way for you to be able to recognize something other than the hashtag or the at. So I think that I understand where this is going, but culturally, that's kind of Twitter's identity. What do you think of this?
It's a huge paradigm shift. To use Twitter without hashtags is counterintuitive. I think it would take a lot of adjustment for the core users, but I think their move in doing this is to attract the new users who find it difficult to understanding, the platform, because a lot of people don't get it. Like, what is a hashtag? What is at? Like, how do I use Twitter? And so I think that's in terms of them growing their business, they want to attract that newer audience, and so they want to make it more applicable to them. But I mean, we gotta mention that Twitter turned 8 years. It's their birthday, I think, like last week, and you're able to they offer a service where you're able to pinpoint your first tweet.
Oh,
and so. Yeah, I think these are just ways to promote the expansion of Twitter.
Sure.
But I mean, personally, I think Facebook's already doing it, like with the you're able to at someone and not have the at sign and tag them. So I think that's Twitter's trying to catch up with that.
Well, and also think like you mentioned, it's a big point. That's a big barrier to entry for most people. It was for me. Like you still talk to people this day. My good friend Joe Sanfilippo. I'll call him out. He's one of them. Twitter, I don't understand. I'm Joe Sanfilippo. Shout to you, Joe. But there's people who are all those hashtags and ats and like you said, and so it's a big barrier to entry for most of the average person. But it doesn't seem the question is, do you just is it about educating people what Twitter is and then people will find it like they have and Twitter's continuing to grow? Or is it like pulling down that barrier to entry so that everyone can come and join Twitter if you want to join Twitter? I don't know. That's the debate for me.
I definitely think it's breaking down that barrier, because the people that interact with the Twitters and Facebook, they're the content. They're the content for the advertiser.
Right.
So they want more content. They want more people. They want more users. And so if it means, having an easier route, a lesson learning curve, like they're going to do that.
Right. Well, so we'll see how it works. And I mean, I think that Twitter's growing. It's being used for a lot more things beyond what it was intended for. There's still, it's used a lot for a lot of television metrics and other metrics in general.
Yeah. I personally don't see the hashtag going away, because that's the way to hyperlink conversations, like you said, how to really get the analytics of something, of a conversation. but maybe like the and how you reply and all that stuff, maybe that'll be better curated and managed.
Yeah, that's sort of confusing to reply to someone, you know, via Twitter. Let's move on. So speaking of Silicon Valley, our guy Jesse Jackson made his visit down to Silicon Valley, and he kind of got on some folks down there as he's known to do. I mean, the thing about Jesse is, he gets a lot of flack from a lot of folks, black folks and white folks, but as just as more of an agitator than a pioneer and helper. I just feel like, well, I'll get back to my opinion of Jesse for a second. But Jesse went down to Silicon Valley and talked to the folks at HP, and basically was saying, like, we need more minorities in down here in the Valley, in your company specifically. Like, your minority representation in the tech world is almost nil. He called out Google, a lot of other companies who were like, people, members of minorities on the boards, 0. Members of CEO, 0. All these things, 0.
We're absent. Absent.
And I just want to say quickly, and I want to hear what you have to say, is that, like, Jesse, people say, like, Jesse's not needed. Jesse's still needed. Like, this is what Jesse does. This is what he's always done. And frankly, I'm glad he's out there doing it and being vocal and bringing light to these situations, because, you love him or hate him, and I love him, it's hard to not, you need someone that's this public and this vocal and still fighting that fight even in 2014.
For sure. I mean, he is the voice. He is the face. I think a lot of people don't necessarily see him as credible because of some of personal choices he's made.
Sure.
Some of his, even his son. His son is in prison.
Yep.
Like, so I mean, I think in terms of, having him.
Everybody got a bad son.
Yeah, true. I mean, but even his own decision making too. Like, it's kind of hypocritical. A lot of people don't want to hear that from him. But beyond that point, like, the point is that he is fighting for diversity in the boardroom. Like, in terms of the tech world, 87% of the boardroom are white males, and so he's asking the question, like, why is it like that in this day and age? Like, in terms of African Americans and their consumption of tech, like, we're high, but how come we're not, getting these positions in these leadership roles? And so that's what he's promoting. That's what he's pushing. Like, with this Rainbow Coalition, it's a campaign to open that up, to open that discussion up.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all.
And this is what I'm saying. That is needed always. I mean, his main quote, I just quoted me, says, when it comes to African Americans in the board, 0. C-suites, 0. Minority firms and IPOs and financial transactions, 0. He wants to, like, have a meeting to confront these zeros head on, is what he wants to do. And I'll say there are some females, who are CEOs, and so. But still not. So the minority, is shifting. But the big point that he's making, which is true, and we'll move on, is that, you have Stanford and is the heart of the Silicon Valley. Palo Alto is the heart of the Silicon Valley. You have East Palo Alto, which is full of black folks, full of blacks and Latinos, not doing so great. There's got to be a pipeline from these folks to Palo Alto, to one side of Palo Alto, to the other side of Palo Alto.
Of course.
That's all.
I mean, you got to think too, like, I think he makes the point, like, the boardrooms don't look like the demographics of America.
Yeah.
Like, America is very diverse. How come the boardrooms aren't reflective of that?
Sure.
How come the power positions, the leadership roles aren't reflective of that? How come we're still dealing with the same archetype of who's in charge?
Right.
Like, that can't work anymore.
It can't work, and then in tech, tech is the way that we need to be in this country to continue to move forward.
Yeah.
We need all eyes, all hands on deck. And black folks too, and then Latino folks.
Absolutely.
As well as white folks.
Everybody.
Okay. So moving on, let's just shift gears a little bit to some funner stuff. Funner, that's my favorite word. Titanfall. I'm all about Titanfall. I'm talking about Xbox and Xbox One. I'm an Xbox dude. So Xbox One is, like, making a surge. I mean, Titanfall dropped, and we talked last week about what that could mean. Well, the sales in the UK, sales are up in general. Sales in the UK of Xbox are up like 96%. The numbers are, for Xbox is fantastic. It actually almost caught up to PlayStation 4 this month. I'm happy. The game is fantastic. The system's great. I don't know if you have much to say about it, because I don't know if you're big. We talked about this before, but I just wanted to mention it.
I mean, just in terms of this race, that we keep covering.
Right.
I mean, they're still behind in overall sales to PS4.
Right.
But I think the games are system sellers, so like they're going to promote people to buy the systems, and I think if they keep coming with these dope games, and it's just going to create like a groundswell of everything else. And like I said, we'll see quarter 3, quarter 4, what really, who wins the race.
Well, it kind of feeds into this next story a little bit too as well. But the issue is that these guys are competing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that PlayStation's coming, so the Xbox One's got to be ready. But really, the Xbox One, they missed so much time on the hardware of the Xbox One, which I think is fantastic. It had some problems that they forgot. The game development wasn't behind the curve, way behind the curve, and it still is. They probably won't catch up for another, I would say, 8 to 10 months to win. 8 to 10 months from now, maybe Christmas 2014, late fall 2014, we'll start to see some game-changing games, if you will. So Titanfall was one they had ready to go, and they've been working on it for 3 years plus. But there'll be more, and then we'll see where the systems go.
And then, like in the upcoming months, they're going to drop the system in I think 16 different countries. So it's, that's going to open up even more, of an audience and more consumers. So.
Well, go ahead.
So yeah, we'll see what what traction that makes when it's more of a global push.
Yeah, and well, speaking of competition too, Microsoft is also trying to get in the VR business and in a virtual reality business. They have a virtual reality headset coming up. Now we know that Oculus Rift and Oculus is really sort of changing the game in this virtual reality space. Yeah. And Microsoft's looking around like we don't want to get left behind.
We got to be in the space too.
And we'll talk about Sony in a minute, but Microsoft is really they're making their push too, so that may help. This is the case of them not wanting to be left behind.
Of course, yeah, they can't be left behind. Like they have to compete on all levels, and in terms of virtual reality, this is going to be a really huge technology that a lot of people
for gaming,
for entertainment.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like, think about if you could watch a football game and actually be on the 50-yard line,
right?
Or if you could be at a concert and be on the stage.
I would run out. I would run out in the stands. No, but yeah, that's where I do believe you're right. That's where entertainment's going.
And not
as well.
just entertainment, everything like the medical field. Imagine if medical students could do a surgical procedure, right? With the device, or for military purposes. I'm sure they've been already using it to do certain scenarios or whatever.
I mean, porn.
You can practice.
But the reason why Microsoft is on this is because PlayStation also announced that they're going to be doing their Project Morpheus, which is not necessarily their thing. This is a thing that's been around and was started on Kickstarter, and that is basically their VR headset. But Sony is like, we're going to embrace this technology. So everyone's in the game, right? Everyone's in the game, and this is the main reason PlayStation announced this, and so it's not a surprise that Microsoft made an announcement that we're working on the technology as well.
Yeah, their announcement, no surprise, it's unnamed. I mean, you have Oculus for like more PC users. You have Morpheus for the PS4. Right. We'll see what Microsoft comes up with.
Xboculus. I don't know what it'll be. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some nerd culture stuff, which is my stuff too. Star Wars. This is my ish. This is my stuff. So we got some more little. They're giving us a little bit of Star Wars. I hung out with one of my friends, Chris Argopoulos, who's a big PR guy over at Lucasfilm, and over the weekend, and I was grilling him just trying to we had to drink. I'm trying to get him to trip up and say something, and he wouldn't say anything, of course. But he did say it's going to be a busy year. They're going to tease out the announcements. And one of the things that happened that is Bob Iger, the Disney chair, just sort of said that we know now that Star Wars Episode 7 will be set 30 years past Return of the Jedi, which makes sense because Return of the Jedi was 30 years ago. So that makes sense. And so we also know, he says it'll feature a trio of new young heroes with some old familiar faces. Now we know that Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill will all be back. So I don't know. I'm excited. Are you a Star Wars guy?
Of course, I'm a Star Wars guy. Big Star Wars guy. I'm excited too. I just hope that it's not too kitted out, if that's a word. I want it to have some flavor for I know as a kid when I watched it.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be so
No, I think it's in the right hands with J.J. Abrams. People are really skeptical about it, but like he said, the only reason he did the Star Trek movies is because he couldn't do Star Wars. He's really a Star Wars guy.
Right.
A lot can be said about J.J., but I think he's very, very capable as a director, even with his overuse of his lens flare, his lens flare and the snap zooms and lens flares. But other than that, I think he's in good hands.
Oh, for sure. I mean, JJ's going to do an excellent job.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind he'll preserve the canon and have some cool stuff as well. Another big casting announcement: Jurassic World is another highly anticipated movie in the same family. We're talking about the Spielberg family, well, the Lucas Spielberg genre family, I should say. They just we know that Chris Pratt is the lead as well as Bryce Dallas Howard, but people are wondering if Jeff Goldblum and some of the other characters will be back. The answer is no. None of those guys are coming back. I mean, the director was very clear that the only reason he would bring them back is in the screenplay we'd have to contrive a reason for them to be there. He doesn't want to do that. This is a new story, but he did mention that B.D. Wong's character, who's escaping right now because I'm doing such a great job on this, will be back. He was the number 2 to the main doctor who developed the technology. So he says there's some story there. So that'll be interesting to see. And B.D. Wong's a good actor. So, but that's it. I'm actually excited about Jurassic World. I mean, I think that it'll be a little better than Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first one dropped in 1993.
Yep.
I remember distinctively because my grandmother took me to see this movie.
Yep.
And yeah, man, I mean, I love dinosaurs. I love the whole story. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with it. You know what I'm saying? 20 plus years later.
Well, Jurassic Park blew my mind. Jurassic Park 2, not so much. Jurassic Park 3, I was out on, but I'm really excited about this one. So I think that this is gonna be something, especially the technology. Also, they did some, Stan Winston and ILM did some really boundary pushing technology back then.
Yeah.
To do really groundbreaking stuff. The combination of what Stan Winston did with the animatronics and the actual full size dinosaurs to what ILM did. And now, 20 years later, we can see what ILM and these folks will do.
Almost like extracting the DNA of the technology. I mean, just like in Jurassic Park, they extracted the DNA of the dinosaur. Let's see what they're going to do.
The mosquito, the virtual mosquito. I don't know. I got nothing. All right, and the last thing we have, just really quickly, is Ghostbusters 3. Now, that's another one of my movies. That's one of my movies from '84. Who didn't love Ghostbusters 1 and 2? There's been a Ghostbusters 3 script floating around for a long time, and they've been flirting with Bill Murray, and Bill Murray never technically said that he won't do it. In fact, I've heard him interviewed on this. He's like, "Hey man, they just need to send me the script that works. I'm not opposed to it. Just send me something that works." Well, we did know that Ivan Reitman, who did Ghostbusters 1 and 2, was set to direct Ghostbusters 3, which was really exciting because the same director. Harold Ramis, was involved, and there's a script with Dan Aykroyd that he wrote with another cat. But since the untimely death of Harold Ramis, it's affected a lot of people, and now Ivan Reitman has dropped out. Yeah. I guess he just feels it wouldn't be right to do this show without him. Do this movie without Harold Ramis, who wrote that first, who wrote those. This is his baby.
Of course.
So I think there's something to be said about that. I mean, on one hand, it's like there's some people who want to take the mantle. I remember when Stanley Kubrick died, there's people wanted to, Steven Spielberg stepped in and finished AI. There's some people, there's that philosophy, but there's also the other philosophy that says, I can't do this without him. It's too painful.
Right.
So he's going to stay on as a producer,
but
he's going to be out entirely. What do you think about this?
I mean, I get his sentiments in terms of everything you said, but the new news, I believe, which is maybe a day old, is Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who directed 21 Jump Street and the new Lego movie that just dropped. They have been asked to do it, and so they have a great 80s aesthetic. They've done a lot of these throwback movies, and so I think they're going to sign on and be the directors for
I didn't know
Ghostbusters 3.
Look at you breaking news in the show in my face. That's great news. Those guys are fantastic. Lego movie's fantastic, and they did a great job with 21 Jump Street, and we'll see what 22 Jump Street is like. Yeah. But they're really, really funny guys, and really care about the brand. That may help get Bill Murray back. I just don't think for his affection for Harold Ramis. I can't see Bill Murray doing this movie just with him and Dan Aykroyd and Ernie Hudson. But we'll see.
I mean, man, Ghostbusters is a huge 80s iconic experience, man. I think it's going to be dope to bring this back. So.
I just really, really hope that I'd love to see Bill Murray back. So, and Dr. Peter Venkman.
I think it's kind of cool. So we covered all these movies that ILM did all the virtual stuff on. So that's kind of fresh.
Yeah, it is. So that's it for this week. That's everything. We got more tech news, more nerd news, more geek news for next week. But in the meantime, Keely, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Akili Shine, AKILI Shine.
You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at Joe K. Braswell. That's Joe K. Braswell on Instagram and Twitter. We'll see you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood Redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.
Thanks for watching Black Hollywood Live on YouTube. For more in-depth interviews and news, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion in the comment section below here. See you soon, everyone. Bye.